I always start with a joke. And this is one of my most favorite jokes ever. So I know you've probably heard it, but I'm going to say it again. Oh, anyway, there was a minister, it was a mother, and she had just finished cleaning up after breakfast, and it was getting late, and she couldn't get her son out of bed. And she kept saying, "Son, you've got to get up. We're going to be late for church." And no answer. "Son, you really got to get up. We're going to be late for church." No answer. So she finally knocked on the door, on his bedroom door, and she said, "Son, you've got to get ready for church." And she kind of cracked the door, and he was laying there with the covers over his head, and he said, "I am not going to church today." She said, "Son, you have to go to church today." And he said, "Well, I'll give you 2 good reasons why I'm not." He said, "Number 1, they don't like me at church. And number 2, I'm not sure I like them." She said, "All right, son, now I'm going to give you 2 good reasons why you get up and go to church. Number 1, you're 49 years old. And number 2, you're the minister." Now, that's not how I feel at all, but I always laugh at that. I can see one of my sons with the, we can all picture that. So imagine the possibilities. My goodness, years ago, and I don't have them in print. I've got so few left. I will reprint them, but I wrote a daily guide called Imagine the Possibilities. And I'm so sorry that I didn't get a photo up of it, but it's of a man and woman in this magnificent, it was done by an artist called Razzulli, and they were in almost a cloud, and they were walking right through it, hand in hand, into the possibilities that life has for them, because sometimes we forget. So I'm going to have a quiz for you. You're going to have to tell me who I'm talking about. So she was born in Tennessee. She was the 4th of 12 children, and they lived in a 1-room cabin. And they were so poor, she never had any clothes of her own. She either had hand-downs or her mother made her clothes. But from an early age, from 5 years old, she imagined that she was going to be famous. I see someone nodding their heads right now. She used to take a broom and sing songs of marvelous into the broom. And the beautiful thing is she had a mother who supported her. But she just kept seeing this. She knew she was going to be famous. Okay, yell out who she is. Dolly Parton, who ended up selling over 100 million records and is one of the great philanthropists. She started a book club for children about imagine the possibilities. And she gives these books out all of the time. So anything can happen if we can imagine it. Oprah Winfrey was another one. This poor black child in Mississippi in the early 40s or maybe early 50s, pregnant in 8th grade, lost the baby. Her mother didn't want her, threw her out. I mean, just a horrific story. But she always knew she was destined for greatness. She always knew that from the time she was a child. How she was going to get there, she didn't know. But you see, it's never for us to say how I'm going to do it. We say what it is I am going to do, and then we let the universe handle the details, because we don't know how we're going to do it so often. However, there is a power for good in this universe, and we can use it, and it can use us. And with that power, all things are possible, right? All things. Now, does that mean we're going to sell 100 million records? Probably not. But what it does mean for you and for me in the life that we're given, which is a beautiful life, no matter all of its ups and downs and heartaches, it is a beautiful life. It's a wonderful life, as Jimmy Stewart said in the Christmas movie. So we get to imagine how we want that life. It can be something wonderful, or we can be down in the dumps saying, I don't have any purpose anymore. And that's a sad place to be. And we, as metaphysicians, as people of unity, know better than that, because there is always something more. To our last breath, there is something more waiting for us. Einstein said imagination is more important than knowledge. And Charles Fillmore, the co-founder of Unity, gave us 12 powers. And he said this is a system for soul growth. And one of those powers is imagination. And it is a powerful, powerful. I'm losing all track because I'm looking at Vivian right now, who just wrote a book. So there you go. She imagined it, and it came into being, and we're waiting for her first book signing, right? So, yes. So, each one of us have such infinite possibilities, but we have to imagine to bring it into power. Because what we know, and hopefully what we know, and what we believe here in Unity, is everything already is out in this universe. Either we have a God that is all-knowing, all-good, all-powerful, that everything is out there. We think somebody just thought of an idea. The idea already existed. We imagine it and we bring it down into fruition. Does that make sense? Oh God, that man had such a great idea. Well, yes, because he imagined what was already possible in the mind of the universe. And that's the truth. Everything's already out there. So, and by the way, there is now a flying car. Did you know that? People are pre-ordering it. It has been FAA approved. It flies for 20 minutes. And just imagine if you were on Central Expressway with traffic so bad, and all of a sudden your car elevated, it can go for 20 miles, and you would avoid all of the traffic. Now, of course, then you can think of all the cars flying and all the crashes. But it wasn't the Flintstones. There was another group early on, the Jetsons, that imagined a flying car, and we're thinking, oh, impossible. But you see, that idea was always out in the universe. Somebody just had the presence to bring it into fruition, the imagination to say, I think I can do that. This is something I can do, and they brought it down. So what are you imagining right now for yourself? Well, sometimes we think, I don't know, Well, life is going along, but we have to have something in our imagination. I don't care if we're Mercy's age, or if we're 95, and I'm not 95, so just put that right out of your mind. That I have a dear friend at 92, and she is so busy and so active. Nothing stops her. She's always got a new idea of something she's doing. That's how we stay young. We don't stay young by stagnating. Now, we may be alive, but are we young, or have we grown old because we have stopped imagining the possibilities that are always there for us? So what are you imagining for your career? Some of us I'm not retired anymore. I came out of retirement. But some are retired here. So what are you imagining in your retirement? Are you imagining sitting on a couch, being a couch potato, drinking a beer, if that's what you feel like, hoping the Cowboys will win today? I hope not. Well, I hope they win. But that's not what we're here for. We're here for a higher consciousness, that no matter what age we are, we have meaning and purpose, and it's up to us to imagine what that is. I had a very good career. I was a real estate broker here in Dallas for years, moved to California and went to a big investment firm, and I was their corporate broker, and it was a good job. But all of a sudden, it wasn't for me anymore. There was no more imagination. I was stagnating. So I kept imagining, and I really knew what it was I wanted to do. I wanted to go back to ministerial school. But I had 3 children in college without a lot of support from their dad. And I thought, how can I do that? So I did both for a while. I was working, I was going to school, and then I made a complete transition, making zero money, $1,000 a month, if you can imagine. So I had to imagine something else in that church. And it was a small church. It was not anywhere near as large as our sanctuary, and that's really all they had. So I got a thought. I prayed. I opened my imagination, and there was a wedding chapel. I saw it. So we opened a wedding chapel, and on Saturdays, we were booked from 9 to 6 o'clock every Saturday. We made so much money with that wedding chapel, and we were such a service. We were in an area that was highly Catholic, and at that time, almost 30 years ago, if you were pregnant, the Catholic Church wouldn't marry you because it doesn't matter. But they were turned away. And there they were, and their families were upset. And we got to be of service. We got to love them and, and really honor them and bless their baby. It was a wonderful service. And it was, it saved the church, and it came out of imagination. And I had a wedding coordinator who was also so imaginative. But it came out. We didn't know how we were going to decorate the church, so we had a shoestring budget. We went to Michael's, we got an arch, we got some flowers. It was lovely. And we really were of service. It came out of imagination. Viktor Frankl was in the Holocaust. He lost his wife, he lost his sisters, he lost everything. They were all killed in the gas chambers or whatever. He survived, but he was in the camps. The only thing that kept him alive was his imagination. You can't even imagine. I can't imagine the heartbreak the man must have been in. Wouldn't it have been easy just to give up, to say, just take me, I don't care, nothing to live for, my family, parents, wife, gone. He didn't do that. He kept his imagination alive, and he saw himself free. He saw himself, he was a psychiatrist at the time, and he saw himself doing work in the world. And by gosh, he got out. He became famous for his brand. Cheryl's knocking. You are a psychologist? Oh. What?
I studied it.
Oh, she studied it. Yeah, okay. And he did so much good. What was the name of the book Frankl wrote? Yes. Say that, Man and His Search. I did know that. But thank you for using your imagination and helping me. Man and His Search for Meaning. So it came out of imagination. No matter where we are in our life, we can't give up. Use your imagination. And if nothing's coming, then Jesus said, ask and you shall receive, seek and you, knock and it shall be opened, seek and you shall find. Ask, dear God, open my imagination now. Show me my next step. How can I enlarge my life, be of service, and move into a different arena of my life, which is waiting for me? It is right there waiting. All we have to do is imagine it into fruition. So I had a call, my blah, blah, blah. Let me go back to my grandson. My daughter's being married a week from Saturday. I know, and that's a beautiful story in itself because that came out of imagination. But my oldest grandson, Trey, it's his birthday, December 6th. And somebody's nodding, maybe they have a birthday December 6th. Anyway, he told me in May, he'll be 25, he said, I've got a concert I'm going to in New York. I've been saving and saving. It's December 5th, New York. I can't wait to go, Nana. So then they decided December 6th for the wedding. Well, my older son is marvelous husband, marvelous father, but he's a hard nose. And when he makes up his mind, and he said, by gosh, Mom, Trey is going to that wedding. And I thought, oh boy. So Trey called yesterday, and he said, Nana, he said, I'm coming to the wedding, but I may be late. He said, I just kept imagining. I knew I was going to be in New York. I knew I was going to that concert, and I knew I was going to go to Aunt Kelly's wedding. And he said, guess what? That's exactly what I'm going to be doing. But he said, I saw myself right there. What do we see ourselves this holiday season? What do we see our families as how can we imagine something even better, a new dimension for how we act and how we expect and imagine our holiday season to be? Because it's up to us. It's not we say, oh, well, it's up to them. No, it's up to us. And I'm not saying that we're controlling, but we get to imagine for ourselves and for our family. If they don't live up to it, that's their, but I have imagined it. I've seen peace. I've seen grace. I've seen love and forgiveness. I don't know if I was going to talk about this and if I even get through it, but my younger son is estranged, as you know, and I've just been praying he would come to the wedding. So my grandson, Alex, who's 21, called him. He said, Uncle David, please come to the wedding. And David said, I'm not coming. So, but in my imagination, I kept seeing him at the wedding. I've seen him walk through the door, but I had to temper it. I thought, that's what I'm seeing, but the time might not be right. So while I can see it, perhaps it'll be at another time. Does that make sense? It's not that I can say, oh, the universe let me down. No, I can see it, but I can also release it as much as I want it, you know. So we can see it, we imagine it, and you know, the universe is very interesting. If that doesn't happen, something better will. It always has to happen that way. If we believe in unity's principles, if we believe in metaphysics, period, then we know there is always something better. In the midst of chaos, in the midst of such sorrow and despair, and I've been there, many of you have been there, there's always a bright light. Because if we believe God is everywhere present, then God is right there. And all we have to do is, I believe, I believe, I believe. And allow the universe then to bring us that peace, to uplift us. Because all things are possible. All things. So our imagination is marvelous. So don't stop believing. Remember Journey's song? Don't stop believing no matter what. We live in the land of I am. See yourself as I am. I am imagining a wonderful holiday. I am imagining the best is yet to come. You know, we have some young people here that are looking at for either their daughter or themselves or their sons, whatever, for colleges right now. So we hold the vision. We imagine the best place for them to be, right? We open up. We don't specify what it has to be, but we open up. What is the best? I open my imagination to see my child happy and grateful. So don't ever stop believing. So there's a man whose name was Jonas Salk. Remember him? I grew up in that age, in the 1950, when I was very young, by the way, and I was, but where polio was terrifying. And my aunt and uncle had moved in with us because they had just moved back to Dallas. They had a 6-year-old who came down with polio, so it was in the house. And we were terrified because at the time it was obviously, as you know, very serious. Jonas Salk, when he graduated, he was a brilliant man. He graduated and he was at the University of Pittsburgh, and he was a scientist, a researcher. And he had a vision. His imagination was telling him that there was a cure for polio. And he kept, and there was different strains of it. And he kept studying and studying. Nothing was working. Nothing was working. They had 3 children. He was offered another job, another position at another university or in private practice, and a lot more money. And his wife said, you've got to stop this nonsense. You're going nowhere with it. And she said, either you stop and take the other job, or I'm divorcing you. And he said, I'm not. I imagine a cure for polio. And she left him and she divorced him. And he kept at it and he kept at it. And you know what? The vaccine for polio, and it's almost totally annihilated now in the United States. But he kept at it. He saw it. In his mind, he saw that. So in our mind, what do we see? What do we imagine? It may not be for a polio vaccine, but it's for if we're breathing, we have a reason for being here. So we just continue to open up our imagination. My dear friend Karen, who it goes all the way back to our grandparents were friends. Her sister-in-law right now, all of her children graduated and are gone with positions in the Phoenix area. And then her husband came in and wanted a divorce. So she lost all of her imagination. So instead of imagining, and instead of having 1 glass of wine at night, it became 10, which is never good, right? Not 10, that's not good. But she had no more vision for herself. Her imagination had stopped. She was a mother, she was a wife, it was all gone. But what she didn't realize, and Karen, my friend, came out of Centers for Spiritual Living in Denver, and so she kept talking to her, open up. Your life is of value. Imagine yourself as a volunteer. Imagine yourself as in the neighborhood watch, or if you're political, get involved in your party. But don't stop believing is what I'm saying. Does that make sense? You can do it, because I of myself can do nothing. But there is a power and presence in this universe that can do all things, and all things through me. So what will it be for you? What will it be this holiday season? How will you imagine? And some of you have gone through a great deal of loss this year. I know that. So it's not the easiest time. But just keep imagining God is with me, and I am opened, and I'm going to open my imagination to, no matter how my heart hurts, I'm going to open up my imagination to a beautiful holiday season. So the next thing I'd like to say is, imagine the possibilities for our church. How about that one? Imagine your part in it. So the minute I say that, people start thinking 100 people. Well, let's let that go. Let's imagine the possibilities, though. And this is happening thanks to Reverend Doug, of a church that is alive, with new ideas, with new workshops. We had a duo up here this morning, which was wonderful. And I got an idea. Reverend Doug loves my ideas, by the way. Just like, he can't wait. And support your minister. We have a wonderful minister here. He's youthful. He works. In fact, someone just told me last Sunday he was here for almost 16 hours. That's who you have as your minister. So instead of always thinking, what can my minister do for me? And he's always willing. Let's start thinking, what can we do for our minister? How often are we saying, gosh, we're grateful for you. Look at what you're doing. There's a different energy vibration in this church. And people that have been here for a while know that. He keeps imagining, not always the Christmas tree here and there, but he keeps imagining what this church can be. And he imagined it into being because it is already into being at this new vision. Correct, Reverend Doug? He hates it when I talk about him. So we'll just talk some more about him. But isn't that the truth? So we imagine for our church. We imagine for ourselves, no matter where we are in life. If you're feeling alone, start praying. What is the best thing for me? What is God's idea of the next step of my life? Open my imagination. Open my creativity. Because if I'm breathing, I have a reason to be here. And I'm going to imagine that the greatest is yet to be. Because you see, we are blessed. We are not sinners. We are not child of Satan or whatever they believe. We are blessings. That's what we have come into. A blessing for the universe, a blessing for the holidays, a blessing for each other, a blessing wherever we go. So imagine the possibilities and imagine the universe in all of its splendor and all of its glory, whispering to each one of us, I am here for you. I am here for me. Now, excuse me, I didn't really mean to say that. I meant for all of us, because that's the truth. That is the truth. So God bless you. Happy Thanksgiving. I love you all. I'm so grateful to be here. And so it is. Amen.